Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another season review of the Clone Wars. We're on season 5, and yeah, I mean we got this one is really like this is the only like season that doesn't have like a arc name. Yeah, because last one was called I thought that was very interesting. The last one was called Battle Lines. The season before that, Secrets Revealed. Before that, Rise of the Bounty Hunters. Oh, and season one was the only one that didn't have a arc season name. That was very interesting to me, but maybe a little bit more understandable with like the first season. But after you kind of like set like a tone, and the fact that you didn't name this one was kind of like funny. Uh, but yeah, we get a continuation of what Maul has been doing, and it's actually at least a good bulk. Excuse me. That's a good bulk of this season, kind of dedicated to like what Maul's overarching uh, uh, little side adventures been happening, and what he's been doing is kind of like what like I saw from like the book of Boba Fett, where it kind of like had that kind of mindset, like I want to control everything, except like Boba Fett at his older age, he wants to like control crime so it won't hurt people or just go running amok, while Maul is completely just wants to like you know rule with an iron fist kind of thing, and use oppress to overthrow the separatists and then like his former master. And of course, at first he thought, okay, well, hire a bunch of pirates because we need an army to take on uh, uh, anybody who's challenging us, like the Jedi. Now, of course, they come to realize after Obi Wan, and like, you get a lot of time with like Hondo comes in like a weird, like the most weirdest Deus Ex Machina I ever seen from a show, because he's a pirate, but it's like he's a pirate that Obi Wan and Anakin use uh, as like a if you need something done illegally that like your hands are tied by the council or the republic itself, and it's like we need to get things done. How are we going to do it? Well, we know this pirate guy who we can like bribe in order to do what we need to get done, kind of situation. And so a portion of Hondo's pirates was like in space. They collected uh uh after the fight with, they try to fight off, Obi-Wan, but get they, butts handed to them. Well, no, I'm getting mixed up. But yeah, I mean, like, Obi-Wan and Ventress team up to take on Oppress and uh, Obi-Wan. They narrowly escape with, but they decide, okay, we need, Obi-Wan and Ventress barely escape with their lives because they was definitely getting overpowered. But Maul decided, okay, we need an army, so they go get assistance from, or at least not assistance, but more like try to get underlings, and take on a portion of these pirates that turns out that previously worked for Hondo. Then they head back to the planet where Hondo is and decide to like, you know, uh, uh, just overthrow it completely. But Hondo gets Obi-Wan to comes, because he was tracking down uh, Maul in the first place, because like uh, he needs to finish what he started 10 years ago. Uh, but then in the ensuing fight, because he lost one Jedi that was with him, and with Hondo's help, they managed to fight off Maul and Oppress. Oppress getting his arm cut off, and one of Maul's metal legs got cut off. So they just barely escape, and they're drifting through space until they get picked up by a group of Mandalorians from Death Watch terrorist group. And so they bring him to Pre Vizsla, who decided, okay, I have a grudge against Obi-Wan Kenobi too. Maybe we can help each other. And of course, like any decent writer would have added in, when you do these villain team ups, of course they always have to, in the end, out for their own self-interest, so they plan on stabbing each other in the back kind of situation. It's kind of standard villain one-on-one when you do these villain team-ups. One ultimately has to betray the other, or both going to be betraying the other. Or the hero would get inside one of their heads and cause, like, bickering amongst each other. That kind of thing. It always goes down like that. It's never a smooth thing. It'd be a crazy thing if that actually, bodes well. If like a villain team up and they're like strictly like honor bound with each other, and no manipulation goes on, and like, do their thing, that'd be one hell of a thing. But so they utilize, the help of the Mandalorians, at least the Death Watch group, who wants to bring the Mandalorian people back to their warrior culture mindset, and not this whole peaceful outlet that the, queen or senator or whatever that is Obi-Wan's girlfriend, or it might as well be his girlfriend, as they obviously have feelings for each other. The neutral lady, who's Satine, who just wants, remain neutral and, just be like peace and whatever. So Maul and Vizsla's idea is like, okay, we need to get more people, because it's not going to be just enough with just, my band of people. So they go to the underworld and they bring in some other aliens. I don't even know. It's not really familiar to me. Some other random aliens, a couple of them from different species. It was like an awesome move where it's like these green behemoths that it's like, and this little council of them was like, we're not working with you, kill them. And then of course, Savage uses double-bladed lightsaber, swings it, and cuts off all their heads at once. And the second in command is like, okay, you're in command now. Are you going to make that same mistake? It's like, nope. And so they are like, rounding more people up. They got to go to the Hutts, because they're like the biggest crime boss family in the galaxy. And like, at first, like, Hutt is like, nah, it's like, of course Hutt wasn't there, but it was like a few other the Hutts was in that little area where the whole situation last season with Jiro, I think his name, and got stabbed in the back by his little girlfriend. And so they've tracked down Jabba and threatened to like kill him if they don't side with him, knowing that he's pretty much outmatched. He's like, okay, we'll work with you. So they make up a plan to go ahead and send like Oppress and some of the other like underlings to go run amok on Mandalore. And the Death Watch comes swooping in to like save the day, and have the people question her leadership because her peaceful tactics, didn't do nothing against these invaders. So she ends up getting overthrown and put in the Mandalorian prison while Pre Vizsla assumes leadership. But then, of course, he tries to, he, got what he wanted, so he figured like, well, we don't need you anymore, Maul, or your brother. So they put him in like a Mandalorian prison, knowing full well that it wasn't gonna hold him. It's like, being because the Mandalorians in the Star Wars universe, aside from like Sith or just any other Jedi, is the only other culture or race that has any skill to go toe to toe with a Jedi. And like, you should know full well that there's other ways that you can make sure that these guys don't break out, because that's exactly what they do very easily. You might as well they just bite in the tongue. Like, they could just, it's like trying to hold Superman in a normal prison. It's like he's there as a formality. It doesn't mean nothing to him. He's just doing it because it makes you feel happy. It's like that moment in Man of Steel, which is probably like the few things that I actually liked from Man of Steel that kind of make me chuckle, where it's like he's in handcuffs, he walking, and he doing the little, walking to like the interrogation room, and he's like, he's talking to the guys out there. It's like he just gets up and breaks the thing and come walking right out through the locked door, and like, it's like, I'm doing this because I know it makes you feel better, but it's like, as you can see, you can't really hold me, so we have to work together to stop these enemies from my culture from taking over, that kind of thing. And it kind of made me laugh, because it's like, holy shit, you forget. It's like sometimes you forget like how powerful that guy is. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, did they forget who they're dealing with? And it's like, of course, they break out. They, Maul challenges Pre Vizsla one-on-one, and you get to see the dark lightsaber in combat with the red lightsaber. And of course, Vizsla loses, he gets his head chopped off. That's the end of him. And of course, you get to see Bo-Katan. Obviously, it took me a minute to recall that woman's name, and it wasn't until like a couple of other episodes in where somebody repeated her freaking name again, because I don't know if they even said it one time until she met up with Obi-Wan. I was like, Bo-Katan. I don't know why I want to say Sabine, because that's wrong. I was like, oh god, it's like Bo-Katan, yeah. And of course, like, okay, now, because like, not all the Mandalorians want to bow down. She and a few other Mandalorians refuse to bow down to Maul as leader, as per their custom, at least as far as that warrior culture race customs that they want to bring back. She's not with it. So half of the troops of the Death Watch are turning against each other. And so she and a few others have to, make a run for it. And now Maul breaks out the, a corrupted political official that, Selene put away after discovering him and poisoning children with his, trying to, because his greed and like trying to, get paid out of the back end, and this whole, corrupting politician stick. And he's the face of Mandalore, but Maul is the real, ruler of the planet. And of course, Obi-Wan, none of the Jedi is not allowing Obi-Wan to go there to help, cause after, his girlfriend makes like managed to get like a signal out and sent another help you Obi-Wan Kenobi. It didn't do the whole full thing, but it gives you that vibe like help me Obi-Wan Kenobi, because like it's like Obi-Wan is always the guy that you can count on in like a pinch to step up. And of course, he wants, to, you know, uh, bring some troops and a couple of Jedi to come, assist in this matter. But it's like with Yoda, once again, like I really don't like Yoda in this series. It's like he's just making certain decisions. It's like I know there's a point to it overall, but it's just like you could have made it a little bit better with like the decisions he's making, or like at least agree with. Of course, he agrees with Obi-Wan, but it's like he agrees with. Well, send some people, kind of thing. But it just wasn't enough, or it's like something had to happen. I gotta be able to be on board with Yoda, and just doesn't work out. Like to show like he's trying, do or do not. There is no try. Fuck you. He doesn't follow his own freaking example. Like do or do not. There is no try. I guess he chose to do not. And I'm not fully on board with that little lesson about do or do not. There is no try. And it's like there's other people that might say that as long as you try, that's all that matters. And it's like how that, oppose each other. It's like, there's like those two things doesn't meld well. And I'm on the side of people who like to believe like as long as you try, it's like give you your all. That's what matters. And it's like, can you imagine telling like a sports athlete, and like when he says like I gave it 100%, coach, do or do not. There is no try. And it's like, okay, what that mean kind of situation, Of course, Obi-Wan, goes there on his own. He's up getting captured. Then like Maul ends up killing his girlfriend in front of him, and probably one of the most heartbreaking moments for Obi-Wan's life, next to the downfall of Anakin later on. Then you find out that Bo-Katan is sisters with his girlfriend. And so Obi-Wan makes his escape in order to, let people know what happened on Mandalore. And I think this is the last time we see like the dark saber after Maul defeats Vizsla. Because the next time we see it, because it was like a big deal after the end of Mandalorian season 1. Then of course you get like, Palpatine as Sidious coming to Mandalore because he, sensed, Maul's sensed Maul through the Force, and took on both Oppress and Maul. And this was kind of bugged the heck out of me. I don't know if it's supposed to be subterfuge, but the fact that Maul's like bends to his knees when he sees his former master, and it's like, dude, like, I guess maybe because like, he wasn't ready for him yet. But it's like, okay, you're pretty well trained in the Force. You should know he was going to sense you eventually, and do something. So I don't know why you acting shocked. And second of all, you had this hate boner for this guy about as much as you have for Obi-Wan. So it's like you sitting there cowering to this guy is just like make no freaking sense. Like, dude, you've been having a hell of a set of balls on you so far, and you crumple like a piece of paper as soon as he enters the room. Oh my God, what the hell happened? And of course, it was an awesome fight, and it's like this old man moves crazy. It's like, is he using all the force just to get his feeble body to move around? Because he's not that young. He's not young, period. You can easily say like, see, this could be at this point in time early 60s at best, and he's like moving around like he's the same age as Obi-Wan at this point in time. and taking on both of these just outright brutes in a lightsaber battle. And of course, Opress gets killed, uh, and like Maul gets owned, and and now like he didn't kill Maul outright. He's like, okay, I got better plans for you, and we probably won't see Maul until like the very last season. Uh, but yeah, I mean that arc was a big doozy. There was a lot in that one. Uh, what else? Um, oh yeah, we got like a small arc with like you meeting Saw Gerrera for the first time, and like you know, I forgot what the it's not Fives or Echo uh, uh Rex. It's some other clone trooper helping Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Anakin with training these rebel. Well, they call them rebel fighters. They just call them rebel fighters. I think they call them something else, but they're on Alderaan. Which, by the way, this is the first time maybe I've seen it before, but I just can't recall. But like, it's all intents and purposes say like this is the first time I actually get the full scope of Alderaan, because you kind of look like a take on ancient Rome a bit, you know, and of course like Dooku has this puppet sitting in the throne and pretty much overthrew the previous ruler of Alderaan because they were also a neutral planet as well. And since they're a neutral planet, the Republic refused to offer any kind of aid. So, just like in real world past wars, you had like, military personnel from like the U.S. or whatever teaching these other rebel fighters how to fight against their oppressors. And so it's kind of like the way Russians taught the Taliban had to fight back in like the 80s, I think, or so, 70s or 80s, so they can fight their enemies. And so they teaching them how to fight, and then you get to meet Saw Gerrera and his sister, and it took me a minute to realize like her freaking name, but Stila Gerrera, and then you get to meet with that separatist senator's son again, and of course like obviously Ahsoka has feelings for this guy at this point, which is probably like one of the most natural progression of a person having interest in another person, because usually those any other show today would have just like hit you with it really quick. Oh, he's hot, and it's like, and she goes Google Gaga with him like immediately, or like they're trying to have like a thing. And of course, in this, you kind of like see like, oh, there's a love triangle thing going on, but no, they don't placate it to those cliches. It's like she obviously has interest, but she keeps it to herself per her rules of the Jedi. But clearly she has a thing for this guy. But then like Stila also has things for this guy. But I think it's not like at first you think like Stila will have some kind of animosity with Ahsoka, with the way like, I keep forgetting the boy's name, and he's just like, has a thing for Ahsoka. She gets a little like side eye about it. But then like, Ahsoka, not side eye, but it's like, oh man, kind of feeling in her eyes when, he's teaching Stila how to throw a grenade to take down destroyers. But then Obi-Wan and Anakin and that other clone trooper leader had to leave because they can't stay too long, because at best what they can do is defend them. They can't fight for them, which is like bullshit. It's like, you leave them to die, and this is why your order is going to go tits up in a couple of years, because you sitting there like, you guys, it's like they're superheroes in the same way like Superman or Spider-Man or Batman. It's like or Wolverine. It's like they're not going to just stand by and say, well, all the best I can do is defend you. I can't fight for you. Yes, the fuck you can. You have the power. Use that, responsibly. And like, but Ahsoka stays behind to monitor things, but like she's on strict, guidelines to not fight for them. Even though she's tempted a couple of times to step in, but she can't do that. Because it's like you're like part of like the Republic, you're a commander of the Republic, so you can't involve yourself. Otherwise, it makes things worse. So they have to make sure that you defend them, but monitor them, offer advice, but don't fight their battles for them. So they did a pretty good job with like commandeering a battle tank to take down like this grid that help powers all these droids and rescue their leader from the clutches of the little puppet master. This, it's pretty much like any cliche Roman bad guy that you see in like in certain movies, about Rome. It's like, always eating some piece of fruit and, it's like, just high off of his power kind of situation. Like, he likes to drink wine and, it's like, throw his weight around, like, cause he like, I'm a leader now. I got a big dick all of a sudden cause I'm a leader now. And like, of course, when things really get bad and it's like Dooku just has his droids, one of the droid generals to like just outright shoot him. It was a gangster move. And he just looks at him like, pull your troops. We're fighting a losing battle thanks to Obi-Wan's help with like convincing Obi-Wan and Anakin's convincing of Hondo to once again come in, not fight with them. Obviously that wasn't going to happen, but the fact that, we, made a bargain with Hondo to like, hey, he's going to bring you guys weapons to like take on these like big machines. And it was dope as hell. And so it's like, well, the odds are winning is like, it's in like the single digits at this point. And it's like, pull your troops back. Alderon's lost to us. And like, it's like, he does this thing and he's the droid pulls out a gun and just bam, just straight up like a gangster movie. It's like Joe Pesci and Goodfellas, like, oh, poof. And it's like, it's done. And of course, Steele dies, after saving the leader. But like one of the droid fighters, kind of like Terminator Salvation type of mini plane things, come crashing down near like a cliffside, and Ahsoka trying to like, save her, but gets accidentally shot in the shoulder and breaks her concentration and she falls to her death. And this kind of like really like sets Saw Gerrera on a path to what we know him going to be up until the point of Rogue One. The fact that he just, because according to Steele, he's always been the way since they were kids. The fact that he, does these haphazard risks that puts other people in danger. And that kind of escalates to the point in his older age where he's like, sacrificing a lot of his own people or leaving them to die or whatever, because he's like, he's not a rebel fighter traditionally. He's like pretty much like a terrorist. He went from a rebel to a terrorist, later in life, where he's pretty much a warped sensibilities of what the rebels later on will end up fighting for, where it's like you costing other people, innocent people's lives in order to achieve the goal of fighting these enemies. And it's like, that's just you missing the point entirely. So yeah, and then of course there's a terrorist. Speaking of terrorist attack, there was like a bombing in like the Jedi, embassy, I think they call it something else, but I'm just gonna call it the Jedi, embassy. I forgot the name, but as a bombing, a few Jedi died along with a bunch of troopers and innocent civilians working in the temple, Jedi temple. That's what it is. And so since Ahsoka and Anakin was off world at that time, don't know why it's just only those two. I'm pretty sure there's other Jedi, on missions, outside of Coruscant that can also come in and help. But they were the only two that can be running this investigation because everybody's a suspect, including some Jedi. And they found these little nanites, explosive nanites, that were later on to be found out in the body of this worker who somehow was, in his blood system. Or a system in general, because it seems like he ingested it. And it turns out his wife, put that in him. Now, here's the thing. The husband is just like a cyclops, but like a head like a avocado, a cyclops eye, and like just like a, like not piranha, but it's kind of like just like baby jagged teeth, and it's like, and this woman's look like just like a middle-aged Asian woman, and it's like, that's your husband? Not that I'm saying like I'm being racist or anything like that. It's just like, I mean, like, I think Ahsoka is hot, so I'm at least like, it seems she has some humanoid qualities that would be able to bond and match, just like with Lois Lane and Clark Kent. I mean, like, he's not technically, he is an alien, but it's like their body chemistry still kind of matches up, which would allow, proper sexual intercourse and birthing and stuff like that. And that just seems like, I don't know how that exactly will work. That got to me. It's like, really? That's your husband? Yeah, that's like really out there. But anyway, she gets caught, and she's trying to come clean with Ahsoka. She asked for Ahsoka specifically. Don't know why I didn't just ask for both Ahsoka and Anakin, since they both caught her. But she, brought in Ahsoka, and she wants to tell her who set her on this path, but all she got is that it's a Jedi, but because only the visuals are the visual recordings are playing, but not the audio for some strange reason. Only see her getting force choked, and everybody thinking like, oh, it's gotta be Ahsoka. It's like, you've been working with Ahsoka for all these years, and it's like, you just gonna automatically assume. And it's like, why would she do it if she cut off, like, if you claim, this is Tarkin we're talking about, you claim she cut off the audio, why wouldn't she also cut off the cameras at the same time? If you're going to do one thing, you might as well go all in with the other. But then, like, usually you've seen Jedi force grab somebody, and it's usually one-handed. Ahsoka is like doing this thing, and it's like, when you see a Jedi do, and you see other Jedi watching this, and it's like, yeah, that's not how we, normally folks force choke anybody. Usually do with one hand. It's just like, like holding like a cup in one hand is, and just grip. And it's like, we don't, usually when we do this, it's like holding people aloft, just to keep them from falling kind of situation. And, and they were so quick to like, turn their backs on Ahsoka. I want to say turn their backs, but it's just like you're questioning her, and it's like Ahsoka's loyalty should never have been in question. It's like, I mean, I know we live in strange times, but it's like there's a few people in the world that again, we just witnessed Will Smith smacking Chris Rock on stage of the Oscars. So it's like, you never know. It's like people think, oh, maybe Ahsoka might have snapped or something. I don't know, but it's like, wow, y'all quick as hell to like, denounce her. Of course, like Ahsoka decided, okay, she, well, she didn't break out on her own. She assumed Anakin broke her out, but we later find out it's one of her close friends who helped her on like a couple of seasons ago when they was like, uh, you know, trapped in like a bunch of debris. Forgot her doggone name. Uh, what's her doggone name? Barriss Offee. I keep wanting to say Barriss Coffee. Uh, and once again, just like with, because this is the only other time we heard, because like I said, from the last video of my review for season 4 about General Krell and his turncoatness, and it's like Obi-Wan mentions Krell in his bit of dialogue after this whole situation with like Barriss. It's like, you know, Jedi are turning, some Jedi are turning against you, and it's like, it's just like this war is affecting people in many ways you're just not seeing, or just choosing not to see, because you're whole blinded by the Force, and you could just easily, have spotted this from the jump. But there was a scene where it's like I mentioned previously in other reviews so far, it's like little by little, Anakin just, slowly snapping, and it's like he gets scary in this one. This is probably like, this is pre-Vader stuff, and it's like how scary this guy is. The fact that he want to go see his Padawan, and like these troopers are saying like, we're on strict orders and not let anybody in, let you in to see her, and he's like, he banged, like, I don't know if I can't remember if he banged on the glass, but he definitely pointed in the glass. Let me see my apprentice. It's like, Jesus fuck, this dude's like, he can, the way he furrows his brow, and it's like that Vader is creeping out just a little bit, and you hear that theme again. It's like, dun dun dun. It's like, you let me see my apprentice. And it's like, you let me see my apprentice, soldier, now. And it's like, you get these other troopers kind of standing like at their staff at the radio, like ready to shock him. In the moment, this dude could easily bust through that himself. That got me. It's like, oh my god, this dude's a fucking psycho. But then it's like he had to collect himself. Okay, I'll be back, and he's like, and he goes away, and then somebody drops, a key card in front of well, this later learns is Barriss, but drops the key card in front of Ahsoka's prison cell. She uses it. She took it as a sign of, it's Anakin. He has been the one behind this. But then she realized, it's not Anakin, because you got a bunch of stormtroopers, knocked out, and a couple of them are killed by a lightsaber. And so she decided, okay, they're not gonna believe me now in this state. And then, of course, he, runs, and it's just like The Fugitive, because you literally are like, she's at like a drain pipe, Anakin chasing after her. It's like, you have to believe me. You're the only one I do trust, Anakin, but I gotta handle this myself. So she, dives off the platform and lands on top of this aircraft as it's lowering down to the lower depths of Coruscant. So she's in like an underworld kind of city, where she bumps into Ventress, who's trying to collect her, because she's got a bounty on her head, and she's trying to collect. And like the picture they use for Ahsoka, it's like the most mean muggy. Like, where did you get that picture? You didn't get like a static, like a photo ID type of picture. No, you went through like a picture, like you caught her, like some photographer caught Ahsoka in a coming out of the shower or something, and she gave like a mean look, like that. It's like you just caught her in a moment, like just she got out of the shower and she, just pissed, like, some spy, just, peeping Tom kind of situation. Man, that got me. I was like, wow, why did that photo? Like, she make her look guilty in that photo. So, she teams up with Ventress after she promised Ventress, I will, convince the council to clear her name, which that never ended up happening because of circumstances. But she contacts Barris, thinking Barris is going to help her, while she's finding clues. Sends her to this warehouse where you find all these cases full of nanite bombs, and Ventress gets jumped on, her lightsaber stolen, and like a masked Barris pretending to be Ventress to take on Ahsoka, beats Ahsoka, but Ahsoka gets captured by the authorities, and now she's not only being put on trial with the council, and it's like the Republic can't really try her realistically because she's in the Jedi Order, and they convince you got to give us Ahsoka, okay? This is going to cause problems between the Order and the Republic if you let this be a thing. So the Order is ready. It's like every one of you, maybe not 100% with Obi-Wan, and definitely not with Anakin, because Anakin's really lost. It's you already decided, haven't you? And it's this is just a formality, or just for show, pretty much. And it's y'all all been with Ahsoka since, because I want to mention this because I forgot to mention this in my review of season 4. You can see the progression, not only with the voice actor, because when you first meet Ahsoka, she's kind of in their 14s, and she's kind of like a little kid voice, and you can see her growing into her own womanhood. And by this point in time, she could easily be in the 18s or the 19s, probably even close to the 20s. But her head doodads, it's it used to be kind of small, but as her race grows older, they kind of elongate, and it's now it's instead of nearly to her earlobes, or maybe a little lower halfway through the neck, now it's pointing to the an inch past the shoulders, and it's she is growing the hell up, and it's wow, you get to see Ahsoka. It's watching Rudy Huxtable grow up through the season of the Cosby Shows. It's she's not a little girl anymore. It's not the cutesy little girl anymore, and so they pretty much a formality. They just quickly okay, we strip you of your title of the Jedi and release you to the hands of the Republic to be tried. And it's y'all worked with this girl since she was a young kid, and it's y'all was ready to let her go. And it's without any forethought, or at least inch of pushback, because you're so worried about the relations between the Republic so much more so than this young Padawan that fought beside you in grueling battles, and it's at least give her a chance. But then Anakin, of course, finds Barris. You find out she was the culprit, and she in shocking Ahsoka as she's being brought in, and she confesses, and it's the Jedi are not peacekeepers anymore. We murder people. We're not pretty much saying, she's just shouting we're not the good guys in this anymore. We lost our way. And it was and then I have to look this up because her master, which is pretty much from the same race, because you later find out about this in Rebels, because she isn't normally killed traditionally by Order 66, but she was captured later, then tortured and killed, and I think her body was dismembered, and her body was used to trick other strayed Jedis out in the universe to come to a trap, essentially, to be executed on the spot when they try to help her. And it's of course, Urza and his friends and rebels, correct that so no other Jedi that might be out there will fall for the same trick. And it's just like a horrible thing to know later on that like this incredible Jedi is her remains pretty much being used in this fashion. Just pretty much like her body is pretty much being like uh it's being put on display, but it's another word, desecrated. That was the D word I was looking for, desecrated. And it's a doggone shame. But it's also cool to know that she was, because I did not recognize this, she was the voice in Rey's head in Rise of Skywalker when you hear those voices call out to Rey when she's, fighting the Emperor, and she was one of the voices. And when I do a review for Rise of Skywalker at the end of all this, I want to put up like a little, like a slide on the video of that review and show you like who's all like doing the voices. I gotta keep that in mind to do that. But as the Order is trying to, bring, like apologizing to Ahsoka, it's like we're ready to, have you back, and it's like she's like, I don't want to come back, and she decided to like go out on her own. That which disappointed Anakin, but he understood. But it kind of reminds me of, if you ever watched Justice League Unlimited back in the day, and it's like the whole situation reminds me of the way Shazam called out the Justice League after the whole fiasco with the fight with like Superman, and he just calls them out on their BS, and he says like, I don't want to be accepted back, into this. It's like, y'all don't act like heroes no more. That Wisdom on Solomon kind of situation. And it's like, this is the same thing, like Ahsoka doesn't say that kind of same speech, but you get the same sentiment if you ever watch, because that's what I immediately call back to in my brain. It's like a Rolodex of TV shows that I've watched over the years since I was a kid. And that part, funny how the brain works. That part was singled out in my subconscious and brought to the forefront in this scene where it's like, yeah, and like, the way Ahsoka said, say to the Order right then and there on the spot, to Yoda, Windu, Plo Koon, Obi-Wan, all of them, telling them, y'all don't act like Jedi no more. And then walk away. But that's how this season ends. But man, that was like, it was a lot. And you can see the escalation is growing. I'm going to go right into the next, watch the last 2 seasons, get that covered, and put out quickly as I can so I can get right into Revenge of the Sith. And then like the stuff in between Revenge of the Sith and like New Hope, like Rogue One and like Solo. And I'm going to be upfront with you guys. I never watched the Han Solo movie. I didn't think it was a good idea. Like, of course, it wasn't, from what I heard, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good either. But this will be the first time me actually watching Solo. And like, I might view it as okay as well, like everybody else. But I'm going to give my thoughts on it for the first time me viewing it. So that's why it's like, I'm watching a couple of things for the first time, or revisiting some things that I haven't seen in a long time. So, stay tuned for that. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of season 5 of Star Wars Clone Wars. And I will see you guys next week with like the last 2 seasons of the Clone Wars. So, take care. Be well.